Hello, welcome to Am I Neurodivergent? Looking at my weird autism and ADHD year and the highs and lows of getting a surprise adult diagnosis. Last week I talked about my experiences before, during, and after getting a formal ADOS 2 autism assessment. This week, chapter 10, week 10, and sticking with tracking my journey chronologically, I was very much in a kind of limbo, waiting for my ADOS results and feeling kind of anxious and low and just on pause, really. I was definitely still in burnout recovery mode. In fact, I think I probably set myself back on my burnout recovery with how wound up I got myself going through the ADOS process. But looking back at my journals, I was thinking a lot about energy and exhaustion and fatigue this week, and just how little of it I felt I had at this time, and how much more energy I felt I needed to get the things done I wanted to get done. And I didn't realize then just how common fatigue is for neurodivergent people. So this week I want to talk about spoons and spoon theory for getting out of a burnout and trying to limit neurodivergent fatigue and exhaustion more generally. So there's all sorts of burnout recovery tools and techniques out there. Just start Googling and you'll find an absolute ton. But the problem is there's no one size fits all tool or technique that gets you through a burnout. Everyone's an individual, and different things will work for different people depending on your personality, your background, your own particular likes and dislike, and what chimes with you. It almost becomes a bit of a pick and mix. There's mindfulness and self-care tools and techniques coming out of every pore of the internet, and you have to try different things and work out which of them work for you and which don't. But that takes time and effort, which is exactly what you don't have when you're in burnout, right? You can burn out trying to recover from a burnout if you're not careful. For me, post burnout, and I talked about mini burnouts leading to major burnouts in chapter 5, for me, post major burnout and being signed off work, I was experiencing a level of tiredness I just never felt before. And some really good advice that I'd probably have previously written off as hippy dippy, but was incredibly useful for me to hear at this time, was the best thing I can do for myself in burnout is to acknowledge and believe that tiredness is there, and just allow myself to rest. Again, I fully acknowledge the privilege I have in being able to take that time to rest. I don't have kids, I don't have caring responsibilities. I have a job that signed me off sick without sacking me. I'm fully aware that for many people struggling through burnout, you're just in survival mode and nothing else. And that's why I want to talk about spoons. It's by far the simplest and easiest method I've found of taking care of yourself, rationing your energy reserves and not letting your burnouts escalate and get worse. So I'm going to talk about 3 things this week: what spoon theory is, how it's generally implemented, and how I've found the best way of implementing it to be. A lot of you are probably familiar with spoon theory, but many of you might not be, so I'm going to start with the basics. Basically, spoon theory is a really simple metaphor that lots of people with chronic illnesses or disabilities utilize to try to A, explain, and B, monitor the more limited than usual amount of energy they seem to have to devote to daily activities, to explain it both to others for understanding and to ourselves for self-care. Spoon theory was developed by a lady called Christine Misrandino. I think I got that pronunciation right. A number of years ago, a lady who suffered from lupus. She used spoons as a metaphor to explain to her friend what it feels like to live with chronic illness on a daily basis, having a limited amount of daily energy that once it was spent, it was just gone. The spoons metaphor has since become a widely used tool for a huge range of chronic illnesses and disabilities to help individuals communicate and explain their experiences and limitations to others. And the neurodivergent and autism community in particular have embraced it as a way of explaining their inconsistencies in what they can and can't do from day to day, which is often utterly perplexing to those around us. The spoons basically represent units of energy that you start the day with, and every activity you do costs a certain number of spoons. Once a person runs out of spoons for the day, they'll likely experience fatigue or simply won't have enough energy to complete necessary tasks. Keeping track of how many spoons you have left on a day-to-day basis helps you be more kind to yourself. Once you've used up your spoons for the day, stop pushing yourself to achieve more that day. You can't. Stop pressuring yourself to do more and feeling guilt and shame. Rest and recuperate. The spoons give you permission not to beat yourself up and berate yourself for being lazy. Like your video game energy bar is at 0. You've maxed out your U credit card. Just stop. Take a bath, take a walk, have a snooze, watch TV, whatever you do to chill out. If you're on low or even on 0 or negative spoons, you are banned from doing anything that's going to use up any more spoons. You're officially on recharge time to replenish your spoons quota. It also works as a way to explain to friends or family or work colleagues why you can't do a thing they want you to do. If you tell them, I'm on 0 spoons, or even I'm down into negative spoons, you're not making excuses for yourself. You're giving a reason why you can't do the things that might be expected of you. If you track your spoons for yourself and explain the concept to those around you, suddenly it makes sense to you and to others why something you were fine doing yesterday, speaking to a group for example, you have no energy to do today. Your spoon level's just different that day. And that's okay. It works really well for autistic people because in a similar way to people with chronic illness, we just have less spoons at a base level. We just have a finite amount of energy and resources each day and are more prone to burnout if we don't manage our energy really, really carefully. The concept makes sense, right? But the hardest thing about spoon theory is implementing it into practical life. Different people utilize spoon theory in different ways, but however you approach it, and some people have gone really complex with it, divvying the spoon drawer up into social spoons, physical activity spoons, sensory spoons, language and communication spoons, executive functioning spoons, focus spoons. But I tend to think, at least at first, simple is probably better as you get used to using it. There's a basic one-page worksheet that there's various versions of online, and Neurodivergent Insights do a good version of one. I don't know if that's visible. I'll include a link to this or a similar version of it in the description below. But the gist is basically estimate the amount of spoons you have at the start of the day, estimate the 1, 2, 3 or 4 spoon activities you need to do that day, and then finally list any activities that restore your energy levels and work out what is and isn't realistically possible for the day ahead. So you're basically trying to guesstimate a spoon budget for the day and manage your energy. But 2 things stymie me with this basic approach. Number 1, estimating the amount of energy I have at the start of the day. I didn't know where to even start working that out. And 2, working out which activities restore my spoons during the day if I need more spoons, if I need more energy. Other activities like taking a walk or listening to music or downtime might work for other people, but for me, as I tried to make spoon theory work for me, nothing seemed to restore my spoons other than sleeping. So what I'm about to set out is by no means the definitive use of spoon theory. It's just how I've started to adapt spoon theory to help me ration out my energy. So I don't use printouts or spoon wall charts or fancy apps or anything like that. I use the notes feature on my phone to keep day-to-day running tabs on how many spoons I'm on and what activities I've got planned for the next couple of days. Other people utilize spoon theory in different ways, but I really struggled at first working out how to convert the theory bit of spoon theory into something that worked for me personally. My issue was that there wasn't a set starting point in how many spoons you start any given day with, other than universal agreement that it's a lot less than neurotypical people start with. Some people have arbitrarily suggested 10 or 20 spoons as a base level, but that just seemed like a blunt instrument to me. I need rules, man. But there weren't any, just a broad concept, so I made up my own. After a bit of experimentation, I started off using the hours of sleep I got that night into how many spoons I had available for the following day. So like if I got 8 hours sleep, I'd have 8 spoons to divvy up the following day, and probably get loads done at work and still have energy for chores, admin, and hobbies in the evening. If I got 4 hours of sleep, I'd probably just about get through work, but have to cancel any plans I had for the evening and just give myself permission to have a bath, watch TV, have an early night. Otherwise, I'd start creeping back towards exhaustion again. If I tried to go for drinks or have a Skype call or cook dinner after a work day on 4 spoons, I'd put myself down into negative spoons and be way more likely to have a meltdown, or worse, start creeping back into burnout territory. So that worked for a little bit as I tried to make spoon theory work for me, but I still found it wasn't working 100% of the time, because doing it that simply, I was simply resetting my spoons every day according to the amount of sleep I'd had, and that was also a blunt instrument and wasn't reflecting the reality that some days I'd get 6 or 7 hours sleep and still wake up feeling exhausted and barely able to get anything done. I'd still be procrastinating like crazy and not understand why, and I'd be berating myself like, you've got enough spoons, just do some bloody work. And then I worked 2 things out that really helped me break the back of this. If there's an event or activity you've got later in the day, you don't know how draining or tiring it will be. You don't know how many spoons it will take. So you simply procrastinate doing other things to preserve as many spoons as you can for the thing you know you have to do. You're not lazy, you just have a degree of innate self-preservation when future events on a given day are innately uncertain. That's why quite often, when we've got a big meeting or call or appointment later in the day, we struggle to do anything before that event's happened, because we don't know how many spoons it will take up. We don't know how much energy it will take up. So as counterintuitive as it feels, because our instinct is to put off uncertain things, try to get essential things out of the way early so we know how many spoons we've got left for other things that day. By doing that, it actually makes the rest of your day less uncertain, because you now know how much energy you've got left. You can assess, that was a 3-spoon meeting, my day's tanked, or, you know what, that only took 1 spoon, I've got spoons left for other things. So try not to leave uncertain things for late in the day when it's at all avoidable. There's way more to this, and I'll do a future video on mitigating task avoidance and procrastination, but that's the basics in terms of spoon rationing. Try to do the difficult, uncertain stuff first to not get paralyzed and tie your own shoelaces together at the point of the day where you have most spoons. The second thing I realized is that when you've had days when you've overstretched yourself and got down into negative spoons, that shit carries over. A good night's sleep does not reset exhaustion and fatigue like magic. So even if I got, say, 6 hours sleep that night, if I was down to -3 spoons the day before, that -3 carries over, and I'm now only starting the following day with 3 spoons, not 6. And making that adjustment on expectations made a world of difference for me. If you blitz yourself beyond capacity one day, you're going to be shot the following day. And even if you try to do just a regular level of stuff that day, if you've not made adjustments for the previous day's exhaustion and allowed yourself a break and recovery time, you're just going to compound and compound and compound that exhaustion and those negative spoon numbers until you find you're literally starting a day on 0 or negative spoons. And when that happens, you're no longer heading towards burnout territory. It's too late. You're in burnout territory, and it's only a matter of time before you freeze and melt down. So this rolling total of spoons based on hours of sleep minus previous day's fatigue level, plus trying, not always succeeding, to do uncertain stuff early started really working for me in terms of rationing what I can get done in a given day and forgiving myself for not ticking or even attempting to tick off everything on my to-do list within a single day. Primarily, spoons are a tool to be kind to yourself. Yes, it's mega frustrating when your spoons run out quickly, but when that happens, it's not a personal failing. By embracing spoon theory and implementing it into your life and your coping strategies, you can improve your quality of life better. you can manage your energy levels better. You can manage how you communicate what you can and can't do that day to those around you better. And most importantly, just not be such a dick to yourself for failing to live up to the super achieving standards you've set for yourself and you just can't reach. Anyway, I hope this made sense. I wish I was better at graphics to kind of explain this, and I might come back to it in due course. There's no right or wrong way to implement spoon theory. It's a concept that spun out of one lady's explanation of energy and fatigue. But there's a lot to it, and implementing a version of it has made a ton of difference to me and my self-care, and knowing when it's okay to stop for that day and just chill out and not beat yourself up for it. So yeah, please do share this video if it made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff, and I'll see you next week for another one of these. Cheers.